Okay, so let's try this again. So I've got even loaded up a Stargate mod, um, but one thing that all Stargate mods generally tend to leave me wanting for is a Minecraft feel for the mod itself. It's all very rounded, which, understandably, it's Stargate. However, if you're going to do Stargate in Minecraft, then it should have a Minecraft feel to it. So I made multiple different variations of Stargates. This is specifically for the Atlantis type gates, Stargate Atlantis type gates. And with all of the Stargate versions that I've made, they have an accompanying version of the ring system. Now, I have everything slowed down through a whole bunch of repeaters to try to make it slow enough to be able to see every step. It does cause a lot of lag. So in other words, if it wasn't for trying to record it, I wouldn't have this much, this many repeaters working. And I'll get into the redstone work. Like I said, I do have a Stargate mod. I also have Galacticraft mod, Too Many Items mod, or yeah, something like that. Nonetheless, this is the ring system for Atlantis version. Utilizing endstone. I was initially going to use regular stone brick. Initially, whenever I was first doing this type of thing, it was with stone brick. I decided to change that. Now, with the DHDs, I wanted to make certain that the activation button was facing the Stargates and that you could actually walk out that same direction. Everything with a lever I have not hooked up for a gate address. All of them that have buttons on the top, it's specifically for viewing. With the other ones, I don't have, the other ones that I will show, I don't actually have the buttons up on top on all of them. There's also a bit of a lag with with whether or not the lights are going to light up properly. So you actually saw this one get lit up, and as far as my Stargate idea would be concerned, as you can see, two different gates, or two additional gates are being activated. In the Stargate universe, in the DHD, the whole Stargate network, Stargates themselves and the DHDs themselves would not necessarily know what gate you are trying to activate, so it would stand to reason that every Stargate with that initial constellation as part of the address, every one of them would be activated. So, and similarly, with the second one, all of them with the second one would activate. However, those without that second chevron, or without that second constellation, they would abruptly deactivate just as that one did. And so the same, it would keep going down until such time that you have just the gate that you're wanting. Now, in truth, the top, with each button, that top actually does activate and then deactivate due to lag and whatnot. It's not really showing showing properly. Let's see if I can get this one to. No. And then finally, the last, and then with any DHD, there is the activation button. Now it would also be capable of automatically, once it's activated, you do have the pressure plates. There will be command blocks that pop up there to be capable of teleporting you to wherever it is that you're wanting to go, or just the event horizon with different mods being capable of doing such. Now, a lot of those, one of the things that I wanted to work with was to be able to have a malfunctioning gate. Now, the way that it looks is not the final result. It'll start malfunctioning here in a bit, but you don't get any concept of explosions affecting it or solar flares affecting it. So I had to devise another method for it to start freaking out, if you will. And there it goes. Now, in an end result, instead of the straight lines, it'll actually be curving around. I have this set up for it to malfunction for, I believe it's like 80 seconds, and then it will deactivate. So, leaving that aside, so I can set up for any number of different gate addresses, and I also have 2 more additional layers below this for even more potential gate addresses. Nonetheless, you have the first chevron being activated. All of these directly connected to the wirings. One is to turn on the top chevron, and then the repeater is going up to the next one to turn it off. So with a properly running computer, you would actually see that top chevron light up and then turn off for each and every activation of each chevron. Now, it actually is set up to, oh wait a minute, there is the potential, I think I'm going to miss it. Yeah. So I do actually have it set up to deactivate in that fashion. I'll go through all of that as well. Nonetheless, basically what you have here is a system where a chevron activates, and then will cause this one to become a redstone block, punching in or connecting to that wire, all of that to be capable of getting all of this. So when the next when the next button gets pressed, if it's within the sequence, then it will be capable of activating the next run. And of course then you have the exact same thing. The reason why I have the wiring and the redstone block is because of the type of gate here, which I can't remember what it's called. An AND gate, that's what I was thinking. So you need 3 sources of power to be able to allow the current to continue. So redstone block here, the wiring goes through, it turns both of these off. When a final signal comes through here, comes through the next chevron, then it finally activates all of the command blocks and moves on to the next, and to the next, and to the next, and to the next, and to the next. Now this could actually be set up for an 8 or 9 chevron gate address. The last one before that, actually. So along with the next chevron that gets activated, not only is this to turn on the next set of lights and to turn that one into a redstone, there's also within these to turn that one back into stone, so that it's not a constant signal that's going through. On and on and on and on, all the way to the next, and then finally you get to this one, which activates the top chevron, or the top light, then turns that back into stone, and then you have 4 additionals. The 4 additionals are for these 2 and these 2. Now, if you don't have an actual proper address locked in, what you have set up here is this first one brings the gate back to its full off position, and the continuation of these command blocks will turn any potential redstone blocks that are over here back to stone, effectively resetting the entire system to its baseline. If you do have all of the chevrons locked in, then those last 4 will turn these 2 stones to redstone and turn these 2 redstone to stone, making it to where when you actually hit the activation button, instead of going around this direction, it'll go through here. And again, you have the AND gate for this one and for this one. So again, without the proper address, without a correct address punched in, it'll go through here and shut the entire gate down. If you get to the correct address, then it will have all of these set to go, and it goes through all of these command blocks. Mind you, like I said, there's a whole bunch of repeaters to be able to keep the keep it slowed down so that you can see each phase of the progression of the vortex. Goes through all of these, finally up to this point, which is the stabilized wormhole. This being a timer of set up for a grand total of 100 seconds. This timer, for that entire duration of 100 seconds, activates these 2, which I've actually compacted all of this entire bit in the last one that I'll show. But for what I'm showing you is right now for the first design that I had. It was quite complicated. I'd have this command block to clone this entire structure all the way over here, and this one to clone this one command block to this spot. These AND gates and randomizers would make it to where there was a percentage of a chance of the gate malfunctioning. Now, with it being as set at 100 seconds, there is almost a 100% chance, in which case where there would be a command block here, it would clone this exact command block, which has in it a command to clone this structure, to place it right in here underneath the glowstones, thus making it to where the randomizers would randomly cause the gate to flip out in that fashion. Now, as I said, this structure, including this command block, now this command block would end up here, and in that command is to turn this one to redstone. Once that turns to redstone, it activates pretty much all of this stuff. This was actually supposed to be pulled over, which I'll actually do later. And this would end up being all of the different potential gate addresses. Let me rephrase. All of the different potential places that you would be teleported to. And it would go through it randomly. Now, it would be set up in such a way that at least one of these would teleport you to 1,000,000 blocks high. Another one would teleport you to 1,000,000 blocks below the bedrock. This to kind of bring in the idea of, in the movie, specifies, yeah, you could turn it on in the wrong order and wind up in the vacuum of space. Now, I do have galactic craft on this, so I can actually go to other planets as well as the asteroid belt, so I do plan on putting some Stargates out in the vacuum of space. There is also the episode Red Sky, where it's presented that a Stargate that is shut off early, whatever's in the matter stream will rematerialize as its base particles, as its base subatomic particles, wherever it is in the midst of space, which is how they were attempting to fix the sun for that particular episode. Now, once the signal continues on, it hits this one, which is the initial shutdown of the Stargate, and continues on all the way through. This wiring goes through here to essentially reset all of this stuff. Not only these randomizers, actually, those are randomizers. These are AND gates and sequencers. All of these get reset, and then this would be cloned in again, because if with these sequencers, if that redstone were actually set over here, it would constantly cause this one to keep going off, in which case it would cause a whole bunch of lag. Similarly, you have an issue here that if all three of these are on when the signal shuts down, they are going to be permanently on, and therefore give a signal through to keep randomizing and cycling through everything. So to end that, I have this one, which just basically gets cloned back up to reset pretty much everything. Now basically this down here, this bit would be the actual command blocks that would be cloned in to the Stargates themselves. These would have the teleport so-and-so, or teleport the closest individual, teleport the player to XYZ coordinates. This would be, all of these command blocks would be specific for which of these sets would be teleported in. Or not teleported, cloned in. Basically, one of these would clone one of these sets into the Stargate for your address. And you'd have all of these as potentials. So this is a quick general rundown of the actual gate network. This is the ring system network, or the command blocks necessary for the rings. It basically just flies, or the signal just basically goes around. Now, as I said, I have additional layers of there we go. Additional layers for more gate addresses, which it would all, as far as the activation and deactivation, all that stuff, it's all up here. These would just be to make more gate addresses, nothing more. Going all the way down. Now, I actually set these up to where I could to where I knew where it was that I needed to figure the XYZ coordinates from. Nonetheless, there's a ton of Stargates, each different in a different phase, basically. In the very end, I am going to be getting rid of all of these blocks, but for now, for specific reasons, I'm keeping those on, or keeping those in place. Now with the ring system, I wanted to actually, let's use that. I wanted to utilize the same concept, even the same colored lights, so you end up seeing the entire thing. So what it's supposed to do, which, like I said, my system, there's a whole bunch of lag, my system isn't the best of systems. This is the first thing that gets cloned in with only one of the rung of lights, one of the layers of lights. The entire thing is set up to then you have 2 layers, then you have 3 layers, and then the 3 layers start crouching downward, down to the bottom, then only 2 left, then 1 left, and then nothing. And then, of course, it goes all the way back through to shut down, or to end its use. So this is all the stuff that goes into the into the Stargate Atlantis gates that I made. Not that I actually have to go out to teleport to the next one. I'm just wanting to. Now, the individual ring systems, they can be made to go from the top to actually come down on top of you rather than up from the bottom. Yeah. So that was Earth. So currently I don't actually have any teleportations, any teleportation locations. Otherwise, I just use the gates to go from one place to another rather than jumping to the text file. Yay. Now, with all of the gate systems, it is the exact same gate address that I'm using for the test run, if you will. And it's basically the same system, or the same setup with each one of them, just with the different look, the different feel to it. Again, it didn't actually light up correctly. Magenta is next. There it goes. You can kind of see it from the bed. Now, keep note, the other two, they don't have the top one lighting up because they're not the ones that are being activated, or they're not the ones that are actually going through. It's not. Those are the gates that are being dialed to, not dialing out. So that's that one being activated. Initially, whenever I was first making these quite some time ago, I was using cobblestone for the Milky Way gates, and I was using the brick for the Atlantis gates to give them a smoother look to it. Now, one of the difficulties that I've been dealing with is trying to figure out how to get them to deactivate, or to just shut down after a period of time. I'm still working on that a little bit. That's what all of this is. My first initial thought was, just set this up, and a timer to be capable of activating. But yeah, if that actually goes through, I need something that will turn this off if it gets activated, as opposed to the idea of it just running through its timer and doing whatever. So again, you have the exact same setup. Now, you notice the blues, or the cyan in the back, I was utilizing these, or I put these here for the specific purpose of knowing where to stand on this gate for each individual set of lights. And then, of course, here you have the individual ring systems, which I'll now go show you on that one. And again, I wanted to keep the feel of which gate system the particular ring set was coming from. So, red lights for this ring system. And just to be able to get this to deactivate. What I would like to have is a better understanding of coding so that I can make the kawoosh be harmful to the player. Those blue lights down there was so that I knew whether or not the gate had moved when I was testing each clone to be in the right place. You'll see that with pretty much all of the gates, all of the central gates. And of course this will end up cycling through the idea of a malfunction as well. And in fact, as you see, it's all cycling through potential of, yeah, this is difficult. There we go. So when all three are lit up over here, then it allows for the signal to actually get through. Once the signal gets through, then all three of these need to be lit up to be capable of going all the way through, and on and on and on and on and on. And I believe it's shutting down. So this particular time it actually didn't malfunction. It just went ahead and shut down. So which one was I set up for? So next is... Now, like I said, I am using multiple other mods. Basalt is also being within one of those mods. And once again, I freeze. So, because of also doing a whole Ori theme, I decided to utilize light gray instead of white on this setup, which I'll get to that one. Believe it or not, that's actually not white, that's light gray. So, individual ring systems for this. Let's see if I can get the top lights to show. Still no. As I've said, my computer isn't really all that good as far as memory and all that stuff. if I can do it this way. There we go. And this one. Now, with having 4 chevrons locked, as I said, the system goes through. You can see one of the redstones now, or one of the redstone blocks, and if I were to try to activate it right now, the entire thing shuts down. And everything goes back to normal. As what I had specified, it ends up going into this line. Now, basically, the end result that it's set up as right now, for all the different gate addresses that you would have to have all the different runs of potential blocks that would have to be turned back to stone, as opposed to the redstone blocks themselves. And not that I actually have to go through this bit, but I might as well. Especially with the fact that I'm not actually showing the activation of this one. So to be able to see what it actually looks like. And of course, there's a lot of lag, so seeing all of it is a little difficult. Nonetheless, the activation as far as the water would all end up being the same, obviously. The puddle, I should say. Again, not that I actually have to get out of the underground area. I just prefer to do such. Then the Ori theme, I should say. Now with this one, it's utilizing regular unrefined marble with the I believe I forget what that is. White concrete. And the lights themselves are actually white. Now, there was one Stargate mod that I really loved their setup for the ring systems, especially with the Ori rings. It was beautifully done. I'm actually going to post a link to this video on the web, or on the in the comments of that particular video, because I really did love their rings. Now, I've actually been considering making these 9 high, or rather having a special setup for a special function for having the rings to go 9 high, because in the movie they were 9 high. There was a theme of 9s in the movie. You had 9 chevrons, 9 rings, 9 ring layers. However, you had only 6 guards, which would lead me to believe that there were 3 additional guards that were unseen. Nonetheless, there we go. There you saw it. And of course, just like the others, it goes all the way through. Now, I won't actually go through the activation on this one, since you've already seen the activation. Once again, hit that, all of it shuts down, and it goes back to baseline. This one was just simply to show an alteration utilizing different types of blocks. This would be indicative of the episode Fire and Water. Because of the lag, you get to see actually some of the wiring work back there. Don't really get to see all of it, but you get to see some of it. Again, like I said, if you had a really powerful computer or strong enough computer, then it would be able to show all of it happening correctly. And shut down. Now with this one, I showed that before I showed the ring system, which I usually do things very consistently, but nonetheless I screwed up that time. Now finally, with this one, I have to admit I haven't actually completed everything yet. I don't even think any of the chevrons activate. Nope. So it would end up being the orange. These are stone bricks for Jupiter in Galacticraft. I was actually considering all of these different bricks to be capable of making all those different types of Stargates. Now, yeah, if you're noticing this much, that's basically to be capable of keeping the water in once the activation goes on. So yeah, this was placements. Right. Oh yeah. So this is me attempting to, utilizing the backside, attempting to see what it would look like with 8 chevrons and 7 chevrons. I wanted to make a smaller gate concerning the chevrons. Did I destroy all of that? Evidently I did. No. There we go. So I was trying to make it smaller, much like the idea of Orland's Gate in the episode Ascension. However, I was failing miserably. I have no idea what that's at, or what that's for. And doesn't really matter right now. Oh, I think I know. So, somehow, whenever I first brought this over, I went into MC Edit and I cloned the entire structure, all of it, for Stargate Atlantis, the End City one. I cloned that entire thing, including all the different stages of the Stargates and rings, brought it over to this point, and somehow I'd accidentally hit the R button, which causes the entire thing to rotate 90 degrees. So all of that is what's left over from me finally recognizing that and trying to correct it. Again, also there was this attempt at making a smaller gate. The smaller gates didn't really ever look correct, so I just decided to make full-sized gates with only 7 chevrons and only 8 chevrons. I haven't actually completed any of those gates at this point in time. So there's the episode, like I said, there's the episode with Orlin called Ascension, where he makes a miniature gate, which, if you look closely, you basically have 7 points. If you look closely at the gate, actually really pay close attention to it, you have 7 different points to it, which would be representative of the idea of 7 chevrons. It was only going to be dialing 1 address, so. Then in Stargate Atlantis, there's an episode called First Strike, when the Pegasus version replicators, the Oserons, sent a satellite, which was just essentially a stripped down ship with a Stargate in the middle, and if you pause it, it only has 8 points, as opposed to 9. So the question in my mind is that a 7 chevron gate would have worked. They're not dialing outside of the galaxy, so why 8 chevrons? Why not 9 chevrons? So clearly they didn't need to make 9 chevron, or make a gate with 9 chevrons. They had no reason for it. They weren't dialing Destiny. Of course, Destiny wasn't an idea yet. But they also weren't dialing another galaxy. So why 8 chevrons? So it's my current belief that if this were to ever get developed, that 7 chevrons would not allow for overpowering, meaning 7 chevrons, it'll turn off in 38 minutes, period, no matter how much power you pump into it, where the 8 chevron gate has the added capacitor to be capable of keeping the Stargate on, energy constantly pumping into it. It would allow for a longer duration of activation. It's the only thing that I can actually think of concerning why those replicators would have made an 8 chevron Stargate. Why not just make it 9? And if you're going for uniformity throughout the entire series, why this one strange one that has only 8 chevrons? The 7 and 8 chevron gates that I've started are at a different location. I forget which location. I don't remember which one of these it's at. I think it's at Atlantis, but honestly, I don't know. So if it's here, it's going to be off to this side. These I actually had set up to wrap around towards the back end as well, because in Stargate, throughout the entire franchise, you do have some Stargates that have lights on the back end as well as the front. But then again, you also have some Milky Way gates that are more orangish in color than red, a bunch of different variations. Nonetheless, this was the setup. This was how I was going to set them up. I was going to utilize the cobblestone, and one of the other original versions of a Stargate Atlantis gate was with the sandstone, so I decided to present it in that fashion as well. So one of the things that the Stargate mods that I've messed with, they missed an opportunity. The opportunity was this, that a 7-gate address will take you anywhere on the overworld. 8 will take you to the Nether, and 9 will take you to the end. Since you don't actually have the need of additional distances, if you will, you'd have it in, they could have set it up in such a fashion where 7 chevrons will take you anywhere on the overworld, 8 will take you to the Nether, and a 9 chevron address would take you to the end, somewhere where there's an end city very close by, to where you can go to and from the end without having to kill the dragon. Now, in what I would have hoped for, what I'm actually attempting to try to set up is, that's going to lag me out quite a lot. Because of the factor that I'm also working with Galacticraft, I've already started working on Atlantis itself. I'm pretty far along on it. I'm wanting to do basically all of the ships, all of the locations, all of the set designs for every scene. I would like to reproduce Stargate in Minecraft. Not just the idea of the gates themselves, but actually the scenes as well, to where you could actually be immersed in Stargate, in a manner of speaking. Now, the idea with this is that you would also have to discover new gates. There would be a whole bunch of preset gates in different locations, and you would be capable of going to different locations, especially in outer space, and finding different ships, finding like the Daniel Jackson, the Asgard ship called Daniel Jackson, finding the O'Neill somewhere in the midst of everything, discovering Atlantis, the ship Destiny, gold Hatak vessels, all of that stuff. They would be random structures, just like you have random structures of the villages or of desert monuments, etc., etc. That is what I would hope for. I'm not very good with coding, so it's going to take me quite a while, but if you like this run through, please leave a thumbs up, please like the video, This is pretty much all that I've got for the Stargates themselves. Clearly, it's, as what I've already specified, it's not all that I have for the Stargate franchise. If you're interested, I will do a run through of Stargate, of the actual Atlantis ship, city ship. But nonetheless, this is what I've got as of right now for the Stargates and the ring systems.